Shotgun blasts echo through the Kentucky countryside. Inside a small farmhouse, 11 terrified people are convinced something is stalking them in the darkness. They fire once, then again, and again. But according to the family, whatever they're shooting at just keeps coming back. By the time local police, Kentucky State Police, and even military police from nearby Fort Campbell arrive, the creatures are gone. And all that's left are frightened witnesses, spent gun shell shots, and one of the most bizarre encounters in American history. So what really happened on that little Kentucky farm in 1955? Let's go back to the beginning. Hey guys, welcome back to Stay Strange with Jen, where we dive into the world's strangest mysteries and try to figure out what really happened. Now, I already know the Kelly-Hopkinsville case pretty well, so I thought I knew this story. But when I went back and started digging into the original witness statements, the police investigation, and some of the details that don't always make it into documentaries, I realized this case is even stranger than I thought. So let's rewind to the beginning and see exactly what happened that night. Alright, so let's go back to the beginning. It's the evening of August 21st, 1955, and just outside Hopkinsville, Kentucky, the Sutton family is having a hangout night at their farmhouse, and they've got visitors over, one of them being Billy Ray Taylor and his wife June. They had recently moved into the area from Pennsylvania, so they were basically a new couple in town, and the Suttons invited them over to spend the evening together, to get to know everyone. And there was about 11 people. So at this point, nothing weird's happening. Nobody's talking about aliens. Nobody's expecting anything unusual. It's just another night. But around 7 p.m. that evening, Billy Ray heads outside to get some water from the well. And as he's standing there, he looks up and he sees a bright object moving silently across the sky. And now, according to Billy, it wasn't moving like an airplane, it wasn't making noise, and he watched it descend towards a field not far from the farmhouse before it disappeared from his view. Naturally, he heads back inside and tells everyone what he saw, but here's what's really interesting. Nobody really seemed to care, because nobody went outside to investigate. Maybe they didn't know what to think. This is where I already start asking questions, like, why didn't anybody go outside and look? I mean, if one of my friends came in and said they saw something streak across the sky and land and, just going down, descending, I would be out there faster than you know what. Maybe not by myself, but I definitely would want to know what it was. Instead, everybody goes back to enjoying the evening, and that's when things really start to get strange. So Billy Ray tells everyone what he saw, but after a while, the conversation moves on. So as the sun goes down and it starts getting dark outside, the family settles back into their evening when the dog starts barking. Not just one or two barks, continuous barking, like it will not stop. So a few people head out to the door to see what's going on and what's got the dog worked up. And that's when they see it. Standing near the edge of the yard is a small figure. At first they can only make out its silhouette. As it gets closer, they start noticing more details. It's only about 3 or 4 feet tall. It has huge eyes, long arms, and large pointed ears. And according to the witnesses, it almost looked metallic in the moonlight. Now, put yourself in their shoes for a second. It's the middle of the night, you're out in the middle of nowhere, and this thing is slowly approaching the house. Okay, so Lucky Sutton grabs his shotgun, and then Billy Ray grabs his pistol, and that's when shit hits the fan. They start firing, but according to both men, it doesn't fall. Instead, they say it flips backward, almost like it weighs nothing at all, and gets back up and disappears into the darkness. And that's the moment everything changes, because now everyone in that farmhouse realizes Billy Ray may not have imagined anything after all. Okay, and can we just talk about this for a second? Okay, these things flip backwards when they're shot at. Like, okay, that blew my mind because I have never heard of anything like that yet. So they flip backwards and then they kind of hover and float away. So that's kind of an interesting detail. If they were making this whole thing up, why not just say they missed and it ran away? You know, I just feel like that's such a intricate detail. At this point, Billy Ray and Lucky are probably thinking, okay, whatever that was, it's gone. Except it wasn't. Over the next several hours, these strange figures just kept showing up around the farmhouse. One minute they're spotted outside a window, the next minute there's one near the front door. Then somebody sees one moving through the trees. And before they can even process that, there's another one. Now here's something that's kind of interesting. Nobody actually knows how many creatures there were. The family was convinced there was more than one, but because they kept appearing, disappearing, and popping up somewhere else, it's impossible to know if they were seeing a dozen different creatures or the same few over and over again. Some newspapers later reported that there was as many as 12 to 15 of them, but that number doesn't seem to come from the family's own account. What they agreed on was what these things looked like. They all described these small creatures with oversized heads, huge glowing eyes, pointed ears, long arms, and claw-like hands. And maybe the strangest part, they didn't seem to move like anything they'd ever seen before. The witnesses said they almost glided instead of walked, like they barely weighed anything. Then things got even stranger. One of the creatures appeared outside a window. Lucky and Billy Ray fired again, and just like before, they said it flipped backwards and disappeared into the darkness. Thinking it was finally gone, the two men stepped outside to look for a body. But before Billy Ray could get very far, someone in the house screamed his name, and he looked up and there was a creature on the roof above him. According to Billy Ray, it reached down with one of its long arms and brushed across his hair. The people inside the house pulled him back in. Lucky took a shot at the creature up on the roof, and they say instead of it crashing to the ground, it floated down, almost like it was drifting through the air, and then it disappeared. At this point, the family wasn't dealing with one strange encounter anymore. Every time they thought it was over, another face appeared at a window, another figure showed up in the yard. Something else was watching them from the darkness, and that's when they realized whatever was outside wasn't leaving. After hours of fear, the family finally reaches a breaking point, and sometime after 11 o'clock that night, they pile into their vehicles and race to the Hopkinsville Police Department. Imagine being the officers on duty, and 11 frightened people burst through the doors, all telling you this same unbelievable story, claiming strange creatures have surrounded their farmhouse, and they've been shooting at them for hours. At first, it sounds almost impossible to believe, but the officers can see something that immediately gets their attention. The family isn't laughing. They're not smiling. They are terrified. And within a short time, officers from the Hopkinsville Police Department, the Kentucky State Police Department, the Christian County Sheriff's Office, and military police from nearby Fort Campbell all head to the Sutton farmhouse to investigate. And when they arrive, the creatures are gone. But the officers do find evidence that something chaotic happened. Spent shotgun shells everywhere on the property, window screens that are damaged, signs that numerous shots had been fired. But despite searching the area, they find no bodies, no blood, no footprints, and no spacecraft. Nothing that explains what frightened 11 people so badly that they abandoned their home in the middle of the night. The investigation ends without answers, and nearly 70 years later, people are still debating exactly what happened on that Kentucky farm. So, what really happened that night? Well, it depends on who you ask. Skeptics have offered a few different explanations over the years. One of the most well-known is that the family may have been seeing great horned owls. They have large forward-facing eyes, ear tufts that could look pointed, and in low light they can appear pretty unusual, especially if they're startled and flying between trees. Others have suggested it could have been a combination of a meteor, darkness, fear, adrenaline. Billy Ray may have seen that meteor earlier that evening, and once everyone believed maybe something strange was outside, then every shadow and movement could have felt more threatening. But this is where I get hung up. If it was just owls, why did 11 people all describe such a similar experience? Why did they stick to their story for the rest of their lives, even after becoming the target of jokes and national headlines? And one detail I found especially interesting was that military police from nearby Fort Campbell responded that night. Now, Fort Campbell was close enough that it could have just been standard assistance for an unusual emergency. I don't think it proves that there was a government cover-up, but I think it is one of those details that makes you stop and think. Personally, I can't tell you exactly what the Sutton family saw, but I do believe they experienced something that genuinely terrified them. And that's why almost 70 years later, we're still talking about it. So what do you think happened? Did the Sutton family encounter something truly unexplained? Could there be a perfectly ordinary explanation for what they saw? Or do you think the truth lies somewhere in the middle? I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments because I read every single one. And if you enjoyed today's investigation, don't forget to like the video and subscribe so you don't miss the next mystery. And if there's a case you'd like me to cover, let me know. Until next time, stay strange.